Morning, everybody. Well, I'm undercover. Things are still wet. We had a storm yesterday and it rained off and on throughout the night, so got to get in where it's dry. They have these lovely pavilions. If you want to come out, you can rent these or just come out for a picnic, knowing that you'd have to get out if somebody did show up. But there's tables all over the place. But if you wanted an event, like a birthday party or whatever, kids, there's a play yard right behind me for kids. You know, it's a good spot. State parks have these things available. Check them out. Maybe you want to wait till it warms up a little bit, but we're not too far from that. Yesterday we got to 73, I think. This morning we were at 33. We're in the transition stages of our weather here. All right, so I've been talking a lot about the rapture lately. I'm not going to do that in this video, so I'm probably going to title this something along the effect of I'm not going to talk about the rapture. We know it's coming, but we don't know when, so we've got things we got to do anyway. So let's focus on those. But what I want to do is kind of talk, I haven't done this in a while, talk about what's going on around the world. We are in the end times. If there's any doubt, turn on the news. Then after that, pray. Pray before, pray after, and you feel okay. So we're going to talk about what's going on with my computer again. My computer is a good computer, but every once in a while it starts going crazy on me. I leave it on all the time, and technically you shouldn't. And I've got special mouse control stuff on here that, because I can't, with my eyes anymore, I can't, that's why I keep my cheaters. I can't read up close anymore. I can see distance, but I can't read up close. So I have a big mouse. Well, that software that makes that bigger mouse sometimes messes up. And as I move the mouse across the screen, I get a trail of mice. Anyhow, so we're going to talk about what's going on around the world right now. There's a lot of things that are tied to the takeover of Babylon, of the world. The 7 kings, they're out there very busy. So let's see, we had another balloon show up. We know the other balloons that we had, which they shot down, and they shot this one down eventually, were from China. This is the prevailing wind pattern, apparently, coming from China. So if they wanted to hit us with a nice dose of something deadly, they just need to get it in the atmosphere, and it will come over us. Keep that in mind. Help you sleep at night. Okay, so we had another balloon come over. China's been buying up, and I think Texas just stopped them, but I don't know if anybody else has. They've been buying up land in and around military bases. Why would anybody do that unless they wanted to stop our military from doing anything? We've let, what? I think the current number is like 7.5 million people come across our border. That's a pretty good sized military force if they're all here for military purposes. I saw where one of the countries in South America emptied out their prisons to send them to the border. We just had somebody killed, a student, by an illegal alien who came across our open borders. It's tragic what they're doing, but it's part of the times. Comes one of our trucks. This has got our maintenance people in it. They come down here and check things out, make sure everything's okay. So that's another reason for picking state parks. They make sure the trash cans are emptied, things are picked up, the restrooms are clean. Everything's ready for you to come here and do things. Just have a good time. You don't have to think about all the other stuff. Now, you don't come here and trash the place. That would not be appropriate. But if somebody did, they would clean it up. And if they saw it, they might ask the person to clean it up. And if they wouldn't, they would show them where the gate is. And if they really decided to want to fight, they can have armed forces here, they can have police here, they can have whatever they need here very quickly and arrest these people if they're going to be problematic. No place is perfectly safe anymore with this world that we're in. But I feel relatively safe here. Okay, so they're still checking on us. We have this monster wildfire over Texas. It's kind of reminiscent of the Hawaiian wildfire that they had. And we get big fires out west during fire season. I have a niece that lives in Paradise, and the town was destroyed a few years back, and her house burned up. I have another friend, of course, it doesn't matter where you're at, who lived in Malibu, and his house burned up in one of their fires. It's becoming dangerous to live anywhere nowadays. But is this a natural fire that we see in Texas? I don't think so. They're claiming it's the biggest in history of Texas. I don't know if it is or not, but certainly gives the impression of the size by saying that. It's probably man-made. All of our food processing plants that are burned up over the past few years, it's all part of this Babylon takeover. If you can't go get anything unless the government hands it to you, then you become a slave to the government, which is what they want. In our Senate, Mitch McConnell has said that he's going to finally retire this November. He got beat out really bad. Biden is so much more senile than he will ever be that he can't compete with him, so he's going to retire. We need to have an age limit on politicians. I don't know what it should be. We live for it to be a long time. But the problem is, if you're so old that you remember horse and buggy, and we're dealing with whether we should have electric cars, maybe you're not current enough. That's the only thing. I'm not worried about age. But if you haven't grown with that, and these people that live in the Beltway full time, they don't appreciate or know what's going on outside the Beltway a lot of times. That's the problem. So even in normal times, there has to be a limit. They put a limit on the President of the United States saying nobody should be in office that long. And yet Congress, who made that law, has no law for themselves governing the same thing. Congress is full of thieves and liars today. Now, there are some good people, but I could count them on the hands if I wanted to, compared to the other ones that have been in there for so long. They've gotten corrupted, or they can't see past the end of their nose and the dollar sign that's there. So even if we didn't have Babylon taken over, we'd have problems in this country because we've become complacent. It's what happened to Rome. They got so big and powerful and had everything, and they didn't have to fight for it anymore. They got complacent. So complacent that Nero let Rome burn. Of course, he blamed it on the Jews at the time and the Christians. So that way he could continue to torment them. Okay, I'm going to jump real quick over to the Middle East, and then we'll look at some other stuff. The Hamas war is beginning to wrap up. They've pretty well cleaned out most of Gaza, and they're going to let the people start moving back into areas to the north. Is there really anything to move back to? But apparently, I guess there is enough. And are they going to help them? I don't know. They might. They should come in there and finish bulldozing the buildings that they demolished to make sure. But the people really don't want Israel in there. They've already been brainwashed by Hamas. They're just as bad as the terrorists, just not as gutsy. So they allow the terrorists, but they don't want to be terrorists themselves. And they're going to have to be some kind of a, not necessarily UN, but multi-country police force in the area to keep Hamas from coming right back and doing the same thing. The people in Gaza actually had a good country when it was started. And then Hamas came in and took over. The same to the north in Lebanon. And then Hezbollah comes in and takes over. It's a terrorist state. And right now, Hezbollah is jealous of Hamas. Hamas did what all the other terrorist countries want to do. They caused tremendous pain and suffering and terror to the Jews and all the other Arab countries because of their built-in hatred, literal hatred. They would stab you in the face and your eyes and poke your eyes out and cut your throat. That's the way they think, and they're taught as little kids to grow up and do that. That's not God. But that's what they believe that their God wants them to do. They're going to pay a price for that, an enormous price for that. But it's not right in front of them, and even if it was, they wouldn't be able to see it. These atrocities are going to continue all the way through until Jesus comes back. Don't carry the hate. And I got a little excited there, and I apologize for that. I find it unbelievable that people can carry that kind of hate to want to harm their fellow man like that. But that's Satan. That's what Satan wants to do to all mankind. And if he can keep us fighting amongst ourselves, he's winning. Now, Israel has the right to defend itself. And what they're doing is legit. And they're going well beyond what the world thinks. The world says they're doing genocide. They're not doing genocide. You want to see genocide? Look at the other side. But Israel is getting ready to move into Rafah, the final area. This is on the border. Now, Egypt is flexing their muscles a little bit. They're just kind of complaining a little bit. Egypt doesn't want the Palestinians or Hamas in their country. Egypt is Sunni. The rest of these terrorists are Shiite. They don't want them in there. They've got their own little battle going on. They've reinforced their border to keep them out. And they don't want Israel going into Rafah because some of them may leak through. They're not sure if they've got all the tunnels. They've got miles of tunnels. Maybe there's tunnels also going underneath the border into Egypt, and they might get some of these bad guys over there. They don't want them. So that's why they're ruffling their feathers about this final battle. But Israel's going to do it. The United States, who claims to be pro-Israel, is not. But they've got to keep up this image because there's a great Jewish population in this country. And this is an election year. If it wasn't, they'd probably show their colors. But they're threatening companies now that help make parts for the Iron Dome. If they can shut them down and shut the parts off, Israel won't be able to replenish these Iron Dome parts, and they will eventually not have the ability to defend themselves. Is that what somebody who loves the country of Israel would do? It is not. Our country is in trouble because we are becoming against Israel. Or at least we're showing that we're against Israel. The current administration who's been in there and some of the people in the Senate have been this way for a long time. And the Jews that live in this country and in Israel, the majority of them don't believe in God. A lot of them are atheists. Yeah. The chosen people of God are atheists. Well, they're going to get their chance here in a little bit as soon as we get out of here. And this war is going to escalate. Eventually, I think at this point in time, if we look at the Ukrainian war, Russia's pretty much achieved what they want to achieve. They're using it right now as a way to drain the United States because they see that the United States is using it for money laundering. And we're sending our arms and stuff over there to deplete our ability to fight. As soon as Russia thinks that we've done enough of that, they're in the war. They're done with it now. They've got what they wanted. They got their corridor. They now have a southern access, which is what they wanted, to the lakes, which gives them access to the Mediterranean. Their only port was up on the top. If you've seen The Hunt from Red October, you can see where all their ships were leaving the port. That can be dangerous at times during the wintertime. Certainly miserable. To have a southern port, that would be better for them. Okay, what else is going on? The Pope has the flu. You'd think, being the leader of the church, the most powerful representation of God on earth, would not get sick. Well, he's sick, enough to put him in the hospital. He's also old, which is not good when you're sick like that. Your body can't defend itself as well. But he's got enough money to pay for the best doctors, so don't worry about him. But is he going to be the false prophet? If he's not, he might be removed so that we can get the true false prophet in there. I would like to think the false prophet would be younger. The Antichrist will be younger. You know, what's the Antichrist going to look like? Well, we have a TV show. Was it called Lucifer or something? I forget now. Where the devil's in the show. It's his show. Now, he's an actor. But he's a good-looking actor because the devil wants to look good. He doesn't come up there with his horns and red skin. He looks like a good-looking human being. I would expect the Antichrist to fit that. Now, he doesn't have to be handsome to everybody, but he has to look good. He can't be up there like Biden, where he should be walking with a walker and have two people leading him around. He's going to look like he's healthy and strong and capable of doing what he's going to do. And he's alive today. He's out there right now working. He's one of the 7 kings that are doing this worldwide destruction that we're seeing. Are we going to actually see him die? I'm hoping that we get a chance to see that, because when he comes back, he's going to be the Antichrist. I don't think we're going to see the Antichrist because we'd recognize him. The spirit in us would see him, just like Jesus and John the Baptist in the wombs. They recognized each other when Mary and Elizabeth met. We would recognize the spirit of the Antichrist in whoever it is. So we're not going to be here. Comes another one of our rangers. So they patrol this stuff on a regular basis. We're short a ranger here. We just had one leave. So if you're a ranger and you want a place, check this place out. All right, so things are kind of crazy going on, but we're still doing things to try to advance. We just launched our first space project to the moon again. Over 50 years, we launched a small little lander to land on the moon. And to show you our immense capabilities, the lander fell over. It's on its side, and there's no way to put it upright. Why didn't they send a little rover like they did to Mars? You could have had it driving all over the planet. No, we send a stationary base station over there. We don't need to have something on the moon to do that. We've got satellites that are around the moon that are photography satellites that are taking pictures of it. We know all we need to know about it. We need to explore it. They should have sent a rover, and they know how to, but they didn't. Let's see, we still have our red heifers. We've got Easter coming up, so I think they're going to try to sacrifice one this Easter. They're not going to publicize it. They're not going to go out on the main square. They'd bring up there are Palestinians and other Arabs living in Israel. A lot of them live side by side, and they're fine with that. It's not a full religion of hate, but the extreme parts of it are. So keep an eye out for that coming up in Easter, but that's, next month. The big news of the Middle East is we have Ramadan starts on March 10th. It's a 30-day celebration, if you will. It's one of their main, the Jews would always go back to Jerusalem on certain feasts. Well, this is one of their big ones. So this is some time that they like to start wars. So we'll see what happens on that. So that's March 10th. So keep an eye out what happens over there. And like I said, I've already talked about the entering Rafah, the final stronghold. They need to clean it out because that's probably where the guy that's been leading it is hiding out if he hasn't already left the country. So if they can get him, that will be a big one. But they need to make sure they clean him out because this is like a cancer. This terrorist group and all the other ones that they're sponsored, they're part of, they're Iran's fingers. Iran's going to pay a price for this at some point. But Iran is Persia. And it's got its name in the Bible for future battles, so it's not going to be wiped out. Not yet. Interesting times. Now, if you are hearing all this stuff and it makes you afraid, don't be. Jesus didn't pick a perfect, tranquil time to come to the earth. He came to the earth under Roman occupation. They were using crucifixion all the time. He maybe picked that time just for that. There were 2 other people crucified with him, thieves. That's what the Romans did. They were good at killing people because that's how they took over all that land. Jesus survived it. We can survive this until we're taken out of here. And I haven't used the word yet. I said taken away. I told you I'd do this without mentioning it. Did I? I don't remember. If I did, it would have been just in passing out of habit. We need to know that we can survive this even if there isn't a taking away. And we can. Because God is our protection. We have the armor of God. Satan can't get to us. He may want to desperately, but he can't. He can protect each one of us, no matter what our situation is. We may feel like we're at the edge, and if we don't get taken out of here real quick, we're just not going to survive. If God wants you to survive, you're going to survive. And if you're still here listening to this and hearing my voice, you've still got a purpose. Now, maybe you can only reach out in small ways to the people around you. But if you can show a smile on your face when you're in the midst of whatever your condition is, whatever you're suffering through, if you can show a smile on your face, that's an encouragement to somebody else. If that's all you can do, do it. Because it will encourage others. who are not in such dire straits. I'm not worried. Now, I might have problems. I don't know. I call them opportunities, but I might have some. Right now, I'm okay. We had a storm go by last night. I'm still here. We know the world is going down. I can hear the swirling of the water and the flushing. But we're okay. God will take care of us until we are no longer needed down here. Be kind to everyone around you, especially those that are helping you. That may be their only payment on earth, is your kindness and your appreciation. Till we meet in the clouds. God bless. Okay, that's where I'm going to film at here in a little bit. Pick that far one over there, I get some light on my face. Plenty of water here. Nice big grill if you want to grill up for your party. There are tables around. This is what a state park can offer you if you want to get out, take your family out. There's another pavilion, so there's two. If you've got kids, they got a nice play yard right here. Modern looking with modern looking climby things. Swings, of course. And they put this rubberized mat down so that if the kids fall, they don't fall on rocks. But you're right here in the woods. It's right there. I've seen deer all over this. And if you swing around, they got a nice big parking lot, and right through there is where the river is. So you're real close. Get out and enjoy the outdoors with your family. It's educational for the kids, and maybe if they like it, they might do the same with theirs. You got to hold on to what God has created. There's a restroom right here. This is the public one, so it's just a normal restroom. The one up in the campground has showers and laundry in it if you're staying. And it's not very far away because I walk down here. Okay, so look at that beautiful forest over here. Can't see the forest for the trees. And this is in the wintertime. All these little trees will have leaves on them. You won't be able to see 10 feet in. And that grass over there is covered in 2 or 3 armadillos every day coming out to forage. Big trees. Get out and enjoy. Blessings, everybody.